Hello, everyone, and welcome to I Am Beautiful. Sorry. I thought I was thinking about the other ones. Anyhow,
No, it's good.
we are joined by Leila, who I think we've known each other now for a couple of years, and
Yeah.
I think we've both kind of been growing and evolving and figuring out where we're going to flow, but always in a direction.
Yes. And I think that it's been cool, like both of us, like we kind of weave in and out of each other's growth processes
Yeah.
and life. Like we'll just pop in and be like, oh my gosh, like, yes, this is oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing this with me. Like you were such a teacher in this moment, or you were such a friend in this moment, you were such a companion, like whatever it is, but just weaving in and out of each other's lives. It's been very beautiful.
Yeah. I think it's how it's supposed to work, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's like a secure
Attachment.
exactly.
Yes.
Not like codependent, like
I need to tell you every single detail of
yeah.
my life. Like, yes, you pop in and we can pick up right back off where we left off.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's start off with you growing up in LA. You grew up here, right?
Yeah, so I grew up in LA. I was born in more Santa Monica area and kind of grew up there till age 9-ish.
Okay.
And I went to a Reformed Jewish day school, and then
Starting from the beginning?
Yeah, that was my first. So that was Reformed Jewish, like preschool.
Okay.
And then a public elementary school. And then
how were those?
Yeah, I mean the Reformed Jewish day school, it definitely gave me such a love of Judaism and joy of Judaism as like a foundation.
In what way?
A lot of singing, a lot of celebration, just like good people, really good teachers. Like I even still remember some of them, and just like the relationship to Judaism being good people and music and celebration, like that is just so beautiful in so many ways.
It was a nice base.
Yes, absolutely. But then my mom, started to realize, and both my parents, really that, reform, there was something happening that wasn't like clicking. It was like, okay, we're saying this and we want to be, servants of God, but we're picking and choosing kind of. And it was like, okay, some things that were very important to them weren't being, I guess, like held as important to the temple. And so they're like, okay, like,
do you have an example of what that?
Yeah, like an In-N-Out burger truck at the carnival. And it's like, that's not bad necessarily, but it wasn't what my parents
were looking
for. They wanted something to click a bit more. Like if one of like a main kashrut law is don't mix meat and milk, then I was like, okay, like that's something we want to bring into our household, so we can't be in an environment that is making that normal or that's like encouraging it, I guess.
How do you feel about that now that you're an adult and you see both sides?
I mean, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, it's everyone's own connection with God. And our choice to not be a part of that temple wasn't a judgment of who they are as a person, but it just wasn't aligned with the direction that we were going. And that's okay because everyone has their own direction. And so, yeah, I was actually teaching my students earlier today, the last commandment, we're in Parshat Mishpatim. So it's like, okay, last week's Parsha, we were learning about the 10 commandments. This week's Parsha, we're learning about, okay, how do we integrate these 10 commandments? And the last one is don't judge. And boy, oh boy, do we judge all the time. It's really, really hard. And so like, how do you separate yourself from like, ooh, they have the newest this, or they're doing that, and that doesn't align with me? Like, how do you take yourself away from that? And it's like, we have to remember that each of us have a very unique journey on this earth. And what is meant for them is meant for them. And what is meant for me is meant for me. And so it just wasn't aligned with the direction that we were going. And so that was the separation. And there's nothing bad with people doing that. That's their own individual relationship with God. And that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's something that gets a little bit muddled between people a lot.
Yeah. And I think judgment is really what gets in the way of that oneness that we're trying to work towards.
How do you stop judgment though?
I think like this perspective, the way that I broke it down for my students, like made a lot of sense to me. And sometimes when you're teaching is when you get the most clarity on things.
Right.
You're like, whoa, that makes sense.
If you can
like
teach it, then you understand it.
Exactly. Like that's not meant for me. That's not meant for me. So why do I even want it? God has given me exactly what I need in this moment right now. If I'm meant to have this characteristic or this ability or this newest phone or this whatever it is, if I'm meant to have it, I will have it at the right time because God's going to give it to me.
But how do we not judge each other like in a moment? So say for instance, it's like the kashrut thing, for instance. There's a lot of Jewish people that eat cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
How do you sit across from one and be like, okay, you have your cheeseburger and I have my kosher burger. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think when it comes to the kashrut example, well, I'm trying to see because there's kind of I'm trying to see how to like phrase it when it comes to the kashrut example, but
It could be any.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with saying, the unofficial rabbi of Happy Minyan, his name is David Sachs,
Okay.
and he shared something so beautiful, which is that whenever we see something in someone else that we judge, we have to raise our hand and say, "I do that too." Life and the people around us and the environments that we find ourselves in are all some kind of reflection and mirror of the being that we are. And so if someone is not eating kosher and that's bothering you, there's a part of you that it's triggering. So we have to see like what's going on in the internal world that won't allow me to be at peace with what this other person is doing with their life. Then there's the other aspect, which sometimes I think becomes extreme in a harsh way, is when people really care, sometimes it comes off really harshly. And if their idea of being Jewish or doing this right is you have to eat kosher, then their way of caring is going to be like, why do you think that that's okay? You know, like it comes off in that way. And that's that own person's, like they have to figure out how to care in a way that is still kind to a person and won't completely shut them off. Now, if you believe that something is right, the best way you can bring that to the world is to be it yourself and be an example of it. And that doesn't mean like disregarding someone and their own journey. It means living your journey and letting them live their journey. And if that's something that's going to align with them at some point, they see, wow, that's a beautiful example of where I want to go. That's an environment that, or a person that I can explore this and ask those questions to, because it's not forced and it's not disregarding who they are in their own journey. And that's the most beautiful, that parallel. And when it aligns, it aligns. But not all the time it aligns.
That's true.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's my 2 cents.
So, your mom is from Iran.
Yeah.
And your dad is from
like mixed Eastern European background.
But he grew up here.
Yeah, he grew up in New York a little bit until age like 3, and then moved to like the Gura Hills area. Yeah.
Okay. So how was it with that dynamic? And your mom, she grew up in Iran?
She grew up in Iran until the Taliban took over, and around 1979 was when her and her family went on their journey, like escaping from Iran essentially. And she had a journey of, coming to America, we can say. Yeah. And so it was a bit of back and forth between a few different places in Europe, Israel for a little while, back to Iran.
They went back to Iran?
They went back to Iran.
Okay.
For a little while, and then to France for a little bit, and then to America.
So how was it growing up in a family where your mom was from Iran and had to go through that trauma of fleeing, and then with your dad, was there ever like a pull one way or the other, culturally or anything like that?
Well, I mean, first of all, I will say, like, my mom is really a person who does a lot of work and growth in her life. And the person that she became to be our mom was not a product of the traumatic things that happened to her as a child and the way that it really could have affected her more. So we really were lucky in that sense that there was a lot of healing that happened before we even came into the picture. But every once in a while, it's like, whoa, like, I can't even believe you went through that. And, oh, yeah, like, it makes sense that you would like tend towards doing this or being more careful or, being more aware of the news and certain patterns that have happened, just smaller things like that. Yeah. And then between, like, in our household, it was pretty integrated, I'd say, because, say the woman is the neck of the household that turns the head. And so, like, culturally, I feel like our house was very Sephardic in that way. Like, just the way we would host and the way that we would, cook for 10 more people that are actually coming. And, like, not that doesn't happen in an Ashkenaz household, but it was just more, and like the kind of music that we would play and just the more, like the Sephardic spiritedness. Yeah, exactly. Way of approaching life. So that was kind of the environment of our house. And then on my family's journey to becoming more Orthodox, it kind of started with Chabad.
So you were not always Orthodox.
Correct.
Okay, so when did that happen? How did that shift happen? How was it figured out?
Yeah, so I mean, after my parents kind of decided, okay, this temple is not really the direction that we want to go, I was in public elementary school, and there was like an after school star program that was like Chabad, and it was like reading Hebrew, and then summer camps
in the public school.
Okay. And then there were also like Camp Gan Izzy, which is like the Chabad summer camps. And so we definitely participated a lot in that. And then, if we liked a counselor, my mom would say, okay, come, like, teach them Hebrew or just, spend time with them. And they would come and celebrate our Hebrew birthday with us. And so that was really, I would say, that was the root of the joy for Judaism, is Camp Gan Izzy, which is just incredible. And that STAR program. And then it kind of, went from
So
there.
it was kind of you all being in this school that felt out of place that led you to becoming more Orthodox?
Yeah, I guess so. But the real turning point was after my grandfather had passed away, my mom's dad. We were at a family gathering, and I was upset because I didn't like, public schools make Christmas and Halloween like really, really big, and I did not celebrate those. And so I was like, why can't I celebrate Halloween? And my mom's like, we don't celebrate Halloween, we're Jewish. And I was like, but why? And like one of our family members was like, why not? Let her celebrate Halloween. And my mom was like, no. And if there was a strong enough connection with her roots, there wouldn't be this feeling of feeling left out, that I'm not celebrating it, because there would be an understanding of who I am and why I don't celebrate this. And so that was really more the turning point, as well as like my parents were just noticing within the school system, like, girls were growing up very quickly, and
I think that's also related to LA specifically.
I mean, there is that. There definitely is that. But I think there were just a few things that they were like, this doesn't align with the Judeo-Christian moral values that we want as such a strong part of our children's lives, that why are we going to let them be raised in this environment? And so that was really the turning point. And long story short, we ended up moving to Pico Robertson, which is like a really beautiful Jewish community in LA, and really a wide range of different kinds of Jews that live here, and we all feel a part of the same community, which I find so, so special. And so that was really the beginning.
And you were homeschooled also.
Yeah,
right?
So I first actually went to a private Jewish day school.
Okay.
for 2.5 years. And it was a great foundation. And my parents were also like, this is not a childhood, because we would be in school for 8 hours a day, come home, have a little bit of time, do homework, eat, sleep, repeat.
Right.
And the school, my parents also started to see more patterns, like similar patterns in the way that the kids were growing up. And so you're right.
What do
like,
you mean?
Like growing up too quickly, and like the cliques, and the school brought iPads into the curriculum, and it wasn't regulated well, and kids were bringing in all kinds of information that was not appropriate, not age appropriate. And so my mom was like, what? And she tried to make a change in the school, and they didn't want to make a change. And she was like, okay, so then we're leaving, because this is not why like we made this change, because like to have the same things happen. And I see much more for my children than being in an institute. Yeah. So yeah. And then we started homeschooling.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what age were you?
11 turning 12.
Was it a tough transition?
It was, I wouldn't say tough, but I would say it was a transition. Like we had to unschool first, like get out of the headspace of like what schooling, what learning is supposed to look like,
Yeah.
and allow ourselves to be kind of free of that system. And then we had
to actually learn, because most
Yes.
schooling systems are not particularly learning.
Correct.
It's just
correct. It's a lot of information like shoved at the child, and
you
then
have to just regurgitate it.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's not learning.
And not all the time it's integrated, and oftentimes, everyone's taught the same way, and everyone doesn't learn the same way.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So growing up, did you feel very connected to your Iranian roots?
Yes and no. It was kind of a chetzi, like half-half household. And so we would always celebrate Persian New Year and listen to Persian music and dance. And the very beautiful aspects of the culture were definitely present in the household. But it's kind of like a bad relationship, in the sense that like when Iran became not itself,
Okay.
right? Like not its beautiful self. Like I heard stories of my mom and the way she grew up, going to the countryside and putting big Persian carpets by the river, and all of the women would be seeding cherries, and they would dry it outside, and the watermelon would be cooling in the river. Like this was like a magical fairy tale, like beautiful Iran. And then in 79 things switched over, and it was like a bad relationship. Like a person like went the opposite direction. And so like whoever left, it was kind of like, okay, we're done here. Until Iran comes back to itself, we have to protect ourselves. Like we have to close the door. And so, yeah, that I would say that was how I would describe the relationship. It was like old time stories, like, oh, this was sweet, and oh, my childhood was this, but it wasn't even a question of could we go back, or do we even want to live here? It was like, no, that's toxic. That's a bad relationship. We're not going back there. Yeah.
And so you were like surrounded. Do you know Persian at all? A little?
I know a little bit of Farsi, yes,
Okay.
from my grandmother mostly growing up. Like a lot of like baby words, like how to say eyes and nose and mouth and ears. And I can understand within a certain context, but then every time I try to speak it, I don't have enough grammar to formulate sentences.
Yeah.
So it comes up in Hebrew. I'm like,
is it like salah? Is it
salam?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Shoma.
Leila June.
Yeah, exactly. One of my favorite ones is like when someone does something for you and you say thank you, you could say "Dasset dar nakone," which means like may your hands never tire.
Huh. That's beautiful.
Like there's so many beautiful things.
Yeah, it's
really
very beautiful.
Or like like kissing the dirt under your feet. Like that's how much I respect you. Yeah, it's a very
most
poetic.
Languages outside of English are quite
poetic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Expressive. Yeah.
So, okay, so we kind of touched on it a bit, but you were not raised so religious at first, and then you became more religious.
Correct. It was more traditional. So, like, we ate kosher in the home, and we would do Shabbat, but more like traditionally, we would, gather for a family dinner and light candles and like play Shabbat music and dance, Yeah.
How do you feel it helped with like I don't want to say reconnecting your family, but how do you feel that it helped you all to kind of create more of a solid, close base? Because I'm assuming that it affected it.
Meaning like with my, like in the interfamily relationships.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's actually cool because I was just talking about this with a friend last night that, like, you know, what I said in the beginning, like everyone is in their own relationship with God and their own journey with God. But the most important thing is a relationship. It's you and God in a relationship, and then everyone else around you fits into that picture somehow. And so when you and God are not in a relationship, like even if you're angry at God, that's a relationship. Relationships have ups and downs and closeness and feeling far away. It has that dynamic. And so I feel like when each of us started strengthening our own individual relationship with God, it allowed us to see more clearly and like how everyone else fit into the picture. And whatever way you do that, the more that you strengthen that connection, that relationship with God, the more you activate the soul aspect of you, which is really able to zoom out of a lot of very visceral life reactive experiences and see the big picture. And so, you know, when you learn about marriage and getting in and finding your person, it's not just you and that person. It's you and that person and God. And if God is not in the picture, oh boy, because there's I'm right or and you're wrong, or you're right and I'm wrong, and that's the end all be all, something along those lines. Right?
I got it.
Thank you. But if God is in the picture, then there's something that is bigger than the both of you, that you are in a relationship for this world, not just for yourself. And so that's with any relationship.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it helped in that way, that allowed us to be less in the visceral, and I don't want to say petty, but that's the word that's coming up, like things that feel very superficial, which is a very real experience, by the way. Like, that's fine. We're constantly in a dance between the soul and
the body
and the way that the soul understands, like, hey, everything is okay, this is happening, is like, this sucks right now, like it's a very real human experience. But the more that you strengthen that relationship with God and the more you allow him to be in your life, the more you have the ability to zoom out of this very visceral experience and really allow God and yourself to hold you through it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had a conversation about that stuff the other day. Yeah.
Oh, good detox.
No, but it's true, and I think a lot of it all flows together, right? Because the judgment that we experience from other people a lot of times pushes us away from God, right?
Right.
Because, for instance, you see someone who's incredibly religious, okay? And then it's like, okay, we understand you're connected, you're saying that you're connected to God. What you're showing me, maybe I don't know because I don't have that connection, but what you're showing me is something specific, and it can be judgmental. And so then, like, it not intentionally, unintentionally creates that, like, if that's what is a relationship with God, like, I want absolutely nothing to do with it,
I hear you. And there's also like a lot of hurt in that, because it's like, hey, aren't we all God's children? And like that,
supposedly.
Yeah. And then I think that there's a level of loving God through loving God's creations.
Okay.
And when our relationship with God puts blinders on us and sees only the relationship with God and not God's love through his world that he created for you, not for you in ego for me, but for you as in it's yours to take responsibility of and to be a part of, then like then we aren't truly serving God.
Mhm.
And then at the same time, we have to watch ourselves in that judgment too. That when we get hurt, we'll go to judge because it protects ourselves.
For sure.
It's our shield, our armor.
Depending on the relationship that you have with God most of the time.
Right. Yeah. And like that, yeah, that relationship is going to be really close at some point. And maybe that really religious person had a very tough thing. Like we don't know, had a very tough thing happen to them, and they are now hurt from people, and they have a hard time connecting with people, and so their healing is God and me only right now, and that is everything that I am focusing on, and we have no idea.
So it's funny that you said that, because when you said it initially, I was like, it's because they don't know any better. And it's something that I have a therapist.
Yes.
And so
me too. It's great. It's great.
So we talk about, how with different people, right? Now, I was born with a limited capacity for patience. And so
it's your gift.
It is a gift.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I'll be talking to my therapist and he's like, yeah, but a lot of times people don't know any better. And in some ways, I believe yes. And in some ways also, it's like, I think people know, I think, so what I've said to him is, I'm like, people, we're creatures of habit. And so it's like you smoke cigarettes. I stopped a few weeks ago and by God, wow. I'm doing pretty well. I'm proud of myself. However,
good job.
Do I want a cigarette? 100%.
Yes. Yes.
And so people in their judgment can be an addiction, right? And so, because it's just it's a reactive thing that your body goes to, right? And so it's like, okay, when you judge, then you go into self-defense, and then you're defensive, and then you become mean with somebody, okay? And so he's like, yeah, well, people can't really change that. And I'm like, I disagree. Yeah. I think it's a really hard thing to overcome. However, you can do it, because we all know when we're being mean. We know when we're being patronizing. When you're bullying somebody, because we are made in the image of God. Yeah. It doesn't, there's a sensation in the body that it's like, I know it doesn't feel right, but I'm still going to bypass it anyways, because this is the feeling of discomfort that I'm feeling is stronger than that. So I'm just going to be mean to you because it's easier. And so I think I forgot where we started, but yeah. I think it kind of relates back to that. And it's just it's so hard. It's a challenge to develop patience and to choose to hold your tongue instead of just being defensive.
Yeah. And I think, being defensive, it's walking through life, reacting to life.
Of course, yeah.
Instead of walking through life centered. And no growth happens in a comfort zone. We have to leave that habit, that line where, oh, something feels wrong, but it's more comfortable to do what I've always done than change it. But that's where the switch happens. But until a person has their own awareness of that,
I think everybody has. I think this is where we're clicking. I think that everybody has the awareness, but they choose to. It's easier to do this because I've always done it.
Interesting. Yes, and I feel like maybe it's not that the awareness isn't there, but the awareness in the sense of
understanding how to
that something else exists that is within their capability, that's reachable for them.
That's fair.
Once there's the awareness that this doesn't feel right. That awareness is there.
Mhm.
But then the awareness of, I don't like this and I
What
want
do
to
I do?
change it.
Right.
That's when the switch happens.
Mhm.
But I was also going to say that, within that example of a person who is mean and then like continues being mean, we have this in Judaism. There's a lot of the number of 3.
Mhm.
The 3 pillars: Chesed, Gevura, Tiferet, and then you have, like when you braid a challah, it's 3 strands, and like the basis that the world stands on, like truth and judgment, like all of those things. And another aspect of 3 is our 3 relationships in this world, which is my relationship with God and myself, with me and people around me, and
the
then
third?
with me and me.
Okay.
And so when someone is reacting to life, one of those is out of balance.
Okay.
And it's not so strong. And that's where reactivity comes from. Because if my relationship with God was cool, I'm not going to say perfect because there's no such thing. But if my relationship with God is, I have a relationship and like things feel chill and like I know that you're watching out for me, even though I don't know why I got into that car accident and now I have to spend this much amount of money on the X, Y, and Z, and I have to be in it. Like, God, I love you and I have no idea why this is happening to me, but I love you and I trust you. And then you with yourself is like, okay, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't have been listening to music this loud in the car and like distracted yourself. But like, I'm not hating myself for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving myself love for it, but I'm not saying I didn't do something wrong.
Right.
And then you with the other person is like, okay, maybe they were rushing, maybe they were this. I don't know. At least it was like we came to a meeting place. Okay, they came to my insurance or whatever. Like whatever. That was smooth. Or even if they didn't come to the insurance, you're like, I believe that it's all for the good. And those relationships are like there's no
But
gaps
you know what
in
the
it.
thread is between all 3 of them? It's not judging it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not judging the relationship here. It's not judging the relationship here. It's not judging the relationship here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is true. That is true. Yeah. And so it's that piece within ourselves that creates the imbalance of reactivity.
Judgment.
The judgment. It was interesting because I was reading a book yesterday and, there's a huge part of healing that is a lot of self-love, which helps take the judgment out of the way. But then there's a point that you reach where the self-love, and this book really reminded me like of it. It was like, oh yeah, I forgot that that's a thing, where the self-love can blind the right kind of judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Healthy judgment is, I aspire to be better, and this is not meeting the standards of the direction I want to grow. Healthy judgment of another person is, wow, look how much Torah they know, or look how healthy their body is, or look how articulate they are. I want to be like that. I want to grow in that way. So we can't be completely free of judgment. We just need the good aspect of it, or to channel it in a way that allows us to grow and be with ourselves instead of separate from ourselves, or be with that person instead of separate from that person.
Okay. I agree with you and I disagree with you.
Okay.
I think that it's not judgment. I think it's understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I judge you, I'm determining, is this good? Is it bad? Do I like it? Do I not like it? Do I want it?
Mm-hmm.
If I can understand, okay, I see you're reacting at me, and I know it's because for whatever reason you feel unsafe in this experience. You feel unloved, or you feel like maybe people have reacted to you so much or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And so this experience is making you feel like you're there when you were 3 years old, whatever.
Yeah.
But this is, and so from that understanding, I can choose to say, okay, I see you where you are, and I choose to meet you where you are, or I choose to stay aligned because I know who I am, I know who God is, and I also see who you are.
The trifecta. Yeah.
But it's not judgment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah. I get that. Like that makes a lot of sense to me. And I think part of maybe my want to use the word judgment is to find how everything within us has a positive transformation.
Can that not come through understanding though?
So would we say that the opposite of judgment is understanding, or the positive aspect, a positive transformation of judgment is understanding?
So basically you're asking, like, are they on the same
Like,
spectrum but different sides?
yes. Like if we were to transform anger, what would it transform into? Would we call it healthy anger, or would we name it something else? If we're transforming jealousy to something else and taking that energy and like directing it in a positive way, would we call it something else, or would we call it healthy jealousy? Like just like for naming terms, I guess.
For the purpose of words.
The purpose of how it's still like beneficial to us.
I think that it is. I think that it is like it's hard for me to call understanding judgment, because I think for me, my understanding, or the connotation, like judgment has a negative connotation associated with it.
Correct.
And that's something that I obviously am functioning with, you know? So maybe that's where it's a little bit sticky.
Okay.
However, for the sake of what you're saying, yes, I think that understanding would be that positive judgment side of it.
Yeah, because I think there's a part of me that doesn't want to call it something different, because understanding, I don't know, understanding to me, yes, that makes sense, but also it's something different. And I don't want to say, well, maybe not that it's something different, but I feel like I don't want to say that we need to completely get rid of judgment and that's the solution. Meaning, like,
I disagree with you.
If God gave us anger, if God gave us ego, if God gave us jealousy, it's not to say, I don't have this, I don't want this, I don't want to name it that, but to take it and say, okay, how can it actually help me in a positive way? Why was it given to me? To transform it into something, like that's what it is. Transforming it into something different, or transforming it. Yeah.
Okay, so so let's go with the kosher thing, right? So you see somebody and they're eating a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Judgment is like, ew, wow, why are you eating a cheeseburger? That's not kosher. Understanding, wow, you're not eating a cheeseburger. That's not kosher. Whatever.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, I understand.
I think that's where it lies in
the like, okay,
maybe we don't have to agree also.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, but I think there are also so many fractals of like the way that this can play out too. Like, yes, transforming jealousy, but it also, I guess, depends on like what the person's root of jealousy is.
I don't think that jealousy is a bad thing. I think that envy is a bad thing. Because I think that jealousy actually is very healthy. And when you envy, this is a problem.
I see. So we're just going into like micro definitions of the word, so we know exactly what we're talking about. Yeah, it's true, because envy is when the ego gets involved and says like,
this person has to hurt, so that like I don't like that this person has this and I want it.
Yeah, exactly. Good stuff.
Now that we've taken a trip to the dictionary and back. So you recently started studying Kabbalah, no?
Yes. Oh, I know, like, not even that much,
That's still a lot.
Like, there's still an entire world that I'm stepping into, and I don't know if I will ever completely understand it, but I'm showing up to learn the best that I can in my capacity. Actually, that's not true. I could be doing more. Could more, we all be? But yeah.
What drew you to Kabbalah?
So I think like that part of this comes from homeschooling too. That like,
okay,
I guess my relationship and also becoming Orthodox and within my family's home, like it was very much like develop your relationship with God first, and all the other textual stuff will come later, I guess, or will come at the right time.
Okay.
And so my first like foundational aspect of Judaism was more the joy, was more the relationship, and understanding how I relate to God and how God comes in my life and how I bring God into my life and how I choose to see God in my life and how I show up for God in my practice. And then there was a part of me, so that was like already like very kind of what you would say like spiritual. And so that was very much the foundation. And then I realized as I got a little bit older, like, okay, I need some of the textual stuff because there's a gap. Because all this spirituality, if there's no vessel to hold it, and learning creates that vessel to hold it, then like it's too much for me. I don't have capacity at the moment.
I feel the opposite.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, this was just like where I was at.
Yeah. Sorry,
and so no, it's okay. And like, let's talk about this because it's cool. That for me, it felt like this relationship, if this is a relationship that I want to show up for God in more ways than I already am. And so how do I do that? Through learning through his Torah, through learning through his books. And Kabbalah is really like both a vessel and the mysticism. There's very much both within there. And it was a way, it was almost like a language I was already speaking. And so it kind of drew me in that way. And I have a very amazing teacher. His name is Rabbi Eliyahu Jian and his wife Debbie. And I had the opportunity to start learning with them. And really that's my foundation for Kabbalah. And they're really amazing at breaking down the concepts. And so I was able to really start from there and learn with them and grow with them. And I still am. And then it's beautiful to see how it's being integrated more into modern, I guess, like sharing of Torah, that like sometimes there's like this cringe factor, like, Kabbalah, like you're not supposed to start learning that until you're 30 years old, or like there's 40, yeah, exactly. It's like something along those lines. And it's too big of a concept.
It's not literal.
Yeah, exactly. So like there's so much, like it's so deep, and like so much of our generation is craving that deeper, and so like it's nice to fall into that and feel like, oh, this is a language that I understand. These are concepts that I can grasp easily. But then you get deeper and you're like, what is even happening? You get deeper and you're like, I don't understand this anymore. So there are like levels within Kabbalah too, for sure. Yeah. Okay, yeah, if you wanted to share yours.
What?
The spirituality vessel.
The verse?
Yeah.
Okay. The reason that I would disagree and I say that the relational part of it is the development of the vessel, and then the opposite is because you have to, you first have to crawl before you can walk, and then you have to walk before you can run. So you figure these things out all before you even know what it's called, because then if I experience what is water, then I can know. Then you already have a knowing. So then by the time you learn, you're learning, like you're connecting to the deeper layers and understandings of it. And also, I would say arguably in the Torah, it's written that we're supposed to feel first before we try to brain our way through it, because the mind, from the mind comes judgment most of the time. And so the mind creates, like, it's natural in the human mind creates like blocks. It's like, now people like, oh, okay, well, what box do you fit in? Are you this, or are you this, or are you this? Yeah. And so it helps, we think that we're understanding by placing things and definitions and box and blah blah, but it's very closed. Whereas if we feel it, then it's like, oh, we start from the expansion, and then we're like, you know what, I know that this can be labeled that. Is it always? No, but I know that it can have a place there. That makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. And I would say that this too is also right. And I feel this in a lot of ways as well. And also, there's like, there are 70 ways of interpreting the Torah. And people function very differently in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And some people need the boxes and the proofs in order to then feel comfortable and safe to feel. Some people feel...
Is that a lack of trust, though?
And then, yeah, absolutely. But that's someone's starting ground.
Okay.
And so that's their own journey to getting to a place where they can then be in a relationship. Like if someone has been hurt, they're not going to open as much in a relationship so easily. And so they're very careful. I need you to show me that I'll be safe around you. I need you to prove to me you're not going to leave me. I need you to prove before the opening up can happen. And so that's their own relationship with God. And so the proofs and the logic and that is their way of then feeling safe in the relationship.
But isn't that why we have the Torah? Isn't that all of the proof? I'm not saying that it's any easier for me. Listen, like I still got trust issues with stuff, you know?
Yeah, of course.
But I think that is the whole, like, it's like, hello, you know?
Yeah. But, yeah. And then everyone's on their own journey. And some people need to feel that they can connect to this before they can then go learn. And, we just had in this last week's Parsha, the children's song, like Hashem gave us a present. You know what it was? He asked the other nations, do you want this gift of mine? They said, no, thank you. For Torah, we've no time. That's the children's song. And then Bnei Israel said, Nasev and Ishma, right? That I will do, and then I will understand. Yeah. And that's very core to who we are. Falling in faith, and then saying, okay, I'll understand it later. But this also looks different for different people, because sometimes falling in means I'm stepping out of my own boundaries and I'm trusting that God is going to catch me. And sometimes stepping in means I'm like, well, I guess like I'm going to start to learn, and then I'm going to start to feel like stepping in looks different for each person, but a core of who we are is beyond the understanding. But then so much of us wants to know and needs to know answers in order for us to actually feel safe and to be open and connected within that relationship.
Soul versus the body.
Yeah. Yeah. But then it's like, oh, but is that my judgment of a way that a person is walking through this world? Like, yes, the Torah has all the answers and it's very obvious to me, but maybe that's me judging someone else, because is that me thinking, oh, I'm better than because I have the Torah? You know what I mean?
I think that the fact that you're asking is saying that you're not. You know what I mean? But that's where, see, it's judgment versus understanding. And I'm like, I see where, like, I'm following along each page, I don't have to agree. It's not my job to agree. And it's not your job to agree with me, but I follow. Do I think it's right or wrong? It doesn't really matter. However, I understand what you're doing, and I also understand a parallel way that's like, it could be merged, So,
yeah. There is yes and no and everything in between. And for some people, God's way means there's only this right and only this wrong and nothing in between, and everything else is wrong. This
is the thing that it baffles me the most, because it's like, okay, on one hand, we're like, well, God is everything. God is everywhere. God made all, and God is infinite. And then it's like, no. Actually, it's this. So this is where it's like, for me, I'm like,
yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
And it's actually interesting that I feel like we went to the dictionary, those definitions, that I think that's probably a big part of the picture too. It's like, define closeness to me, to them. Define servant of God to me, to them. Define loving God's creation to me, to them. Define it's all this very, very nuanced, their own experience within their world and their relationship with God, that like loving human beings look like this to me, and loving human beings looks like this to them. It's their own definition of it. And does it make it right or wrong?
I think that there is I don't qualify it as right or wrong. I think that there is a way to show love that
Mhm.
has been given as an example,
Mhm.
given to
Wow.
us as an, you
Yes.
know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, I got
So
you.
and so so here's my theory.
Okay.
My theory, something in Judaism that has shifted the whole mentality of a lot of things, is the understanding of gvura.
Mm-hmm.
What's your understanding?
That gevura is boundaries and restriction, but like there's a balance aspect of it, and then there's an extreme aspect of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I would say gvura is structure and discipline.
Yes, that too.
So I've witnessed it explained as judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a common understanding of judgment, of gvura. So if this is our understanding from the beginning, okay, well, and it doesn't even mean that in Hebrew, I'm pretty sure from what I understand, like it doesn't mean judgment.
Yeah.
Like that's not the direct Hebrew to English
translation. Yeah.
So, but when you start this as the framework from the beginning, it's like, okay, well, that's the seed, that's the root that comes, So it's a tough one.
Yeah. And so that, and it's like, it's just so interesting to me the way, like, have you ever, looked at a scenery and just been like, I wonder if the person standing next to me sees the blue the same way I see this blue, or sees the sky, or sees the green the same way that I see this green. Like maybe I'm the only one that can really see the world this way. Like those,
that thought process.
That thought process that it's like, whoa, like people have a completely different understanding and view of the world. We don't know where that comes from, stems from, reacts from, is taught from. Each person is a world of their own. And so, like you said, again, it all comes to that judgment piece, that judgment gets in the way of understanding and just accepting. Showing up in presence for the world of a human being that they are.
Yeah, it's easier, the color thing. It's easier to be like, well, I see this as blue, and then you're like, well, it's green. And instead of just being like, whatever.
Yeah.
like we need to argue about it. Why?
Yeah. It's true.
What ancestral wisdom do you feel lives inside you?
Whoa, what a question. I love that question. I think it comes back to, which I also wanted to comment on, which is what you said, is like this knowing, this sense of knowing.
Okay.
In a lot of different aspects of life. Like, how did that knowing and wisdom come into this body? And where did it come from? I don't need to understand it, but I need to understand how to trust it, because it's a very palpable, real part of me. And so that ancestral sense of knowing, and I would say like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like bounce back. There's a word that starts with an R that means this. Resilience. The ability to bounce back and not get stuck in the ditch and not get stuck in the, like, that is a very, like, it feels like ancestral, a very core part of my human experience. That's for my soul. I think I would describe it as that. And joy. Like knowing, joy, and that this bounce back, this resilience and motive force for life.
Nice.
Wow, thank you for asking that question.
You're
because
welcome.
It's cool to define.
I've never asked that one before.
Oh my gosh, I love
special
it.
just for you.
Thanks.
Okay. So we like to finish up with a speed round of questions. Don't think too hard, it's just for fun.
Okay.
What's your favorite challah?
Ooh, pretzel.
No way. That's my favorite kind. And nobody ever says pretzel. I love pretzel challah. Wow.
really
It's the best challah ever. And it's not appreciated as much as it should be, but
yes. Okay, next
I'll move
Shabbat
on.
together will be pretzel challah.
I want to make, wow.
Oh, I've made it before. It's actually not that hard.
I've seen you have to like put like a special like
you boil it.
Yeah, boil it.
In water and salt. And you like put it in there for a little bit and then you put it in the oven. It's so cool. It's really cool. Okay.
It's so easy. Wow. Yeah. Everyone should have the opportunity to experience pretzel challah. I hope they have. If your Jewish identity was a fabric, what would it feel like?
Linen.
I knew you were going to say that for some strange reason. Mezuzah check. Kiss it, talk to it, or ignore it?
Kiss it and talk to it. Yeah.
Depending on the home or the place where you're going, or?
Wait, what do you mean mezuzah check?
When you see a mezuzah, do you kiss it, talk to it, or ignore it?
Oh, kiss it. Yeah.
Every single time.
Every single time. Yeah. Even if my hands are full, I'll do a little like if I can't touch it, you know? Like, I know you're there. Yeah.
If your Jewishness had a soundtrack, what would the first song be?
Whoa. Can I say silence? That it starts in just serene silence, pure nothingness, heaven, before it moves into music, which is, in my opinion, like the meeting place between the serene of heaven and the chaos and noise on earth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You say whatever you want to say. It's your soundtrack. What makes you beautiful?
I think just doing the best that I can do to emulate the way I feel God's love in the world around me. And that looks different to everyone, but there's definitely a lot of love in my heart. And that stems from the love I feel from God. And so I try and show that every place I find myself. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
So amazing.
So beautiful.
Yeah. It went places that you have no idea how many questions I'm like.
We don't even have that. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.